The evening of Daniel's promotion party began quietly. I was standing in our bedroom holding a dress I had worn only once before. It was simple navy blue. The kind of dress that didn't ask for attention, but still felt appropriate for a formal celebration. Daniel had been working toward that promotion for nearly 5 years. I had imagined the night many times, the speeches, the introductions. The way people from his company would shake his hand while I stood beside him. Instead, the phone call came that afternoon. Not from Daniel. From his sister. She spoke in the careful tone people use when they believe they're delivering something obvious. "It might if you don't come tonight," she said. "Why?" A pause. "Well, Daniel's colleagues will all be there. Important people. We just think the should reflect the next stage of his career." I waited. Her voice lowered slightly. "And someone else will be attending with him." The sentence hung there long as that explanation became unnecessary. I understood. They hadn't invited her quietly. They had replaced me openly. "You're not really the image he needs now," she added. The line disconnected shortly after. For a long time I sat at the kitchen table with the dress folded beside me. Outside, the street was unusually calm. The sky had the pale gray color of early evening, the hour when people begin leaving their homes for dinner and events. I imagined the party already beginning. A hotel ballroom somewhere downtown. Polished floors. Waiters moving through the room with trays of drinks. Daniel shaking hands, his family smiling proudly. And beside him, someone new. I didn't cry. The feeling was closer to fatigue than heartbreak. A quiet recognition that something I had been carrying for years had finally reached its end. I stood up and walked slowly through the house. Our house? Technically. But I had begun to realize something over the past year. Most of what held that house together had once been mine. When Daniel and I married, his career was uncertain. Promotions came slowly. Contracts fell through. The early years required stability that his salary alone couldn't provide. So I built it. Investments from my side of the family. Property arrangements structured in my name. A business account created when he launched his consulting work. An account I managed because it began with my capital. At the time it seemed practical. Later, it simply remained that way. Success changes how people remember their beginnings. I walked into the small office near the living room and opened the desk drawer where I kept the financial files. The documents looked exactly as they always had, quiet stacks of paper holding years of decisions. I sat down. Outside, a car passed slowly along the street. I pictured Daniel standing under soft ballroom lighting, while someone from senior management congratulated him. His sister introducing the woman beside him. The room applauding. I opened my laptop. The accounts appeared exactly where they always meant accounts. Credit lines guaranteed by my assets. Operational funds connected to Daniel's consulting contracts. Over the years, Daniel had stopped paying attention to these details. His income had grown large enough that he assumed the structure underneath it was permanent. But structures only remain stable when someone continues maintaining them. I began transferring funds, not impulsively, carefully. The joint investment account moved first. It had always been linked to the portfolio my father left me before the marriage. The transfer required 2 confirmations and a digital signature. Next came the credit guarantees. When Daniel expanded his consulting projects, several financial institutions required collateral. I had provided it at the time because the marriage still felt like a partnership. Tonight I revoked those guarantees. The system displayed a small notification, as changes will take effect immediately. I closed the laptop. The house had grown quieter. For a moment I wondered what the ballroom looked like right then. Whether the speeches had already started. Then I stood and began packing. Not everything, just what belonged to me. Clothes from the closet, personal documents. A few photographs that had meaning before Daniel ever entered them. The process was strangely calm. By the time I finished, the suitcase by the door looked modest compared to the years I had spent inside that house. My phone buzzed. "Daniel," I let it ring. Another call came a few minutes later. Then another. I knew what had happened. Banks move quickly when collateral disappears, credit lines freeze, transfers fail. Account balances suddenly look very different. The promotion party was probably still underway when the first notifications appeared. Daniel's name flashed on the screen again. This time I answered. "What did you do?" he asked. His voice carried something I had never heard before. Uncertainty. "I reorganized my finances." "You emptied the accounts?" "The ones connected to my investments, yes." A long silence followed. "Do you realize what you've done?" he said finally. "Yes." The words were simple because the decision had already been made hours earlier. When his sister explained why I shouldn't attend the party celebrating my husband's success. "You've destroyed everything tonight," he said. I looked around the quiet house. "No," I said calmly. "That happened earlier." Another silence, then the line disconnected. I picked up the suitcase and stepped outside. The evening air felt cool after the stillness inside the house. My car waited at the curb. Packed earlier that afternoon when a part of me must have already understood where the night would end. As I drove away, the city lights in the distance looked faintly golden. Somewhere among them, Daniel's promotion party was probably dissolving into confusion. Phones ringing. Family members asking questions. A celebration turning slowly into something else. I didn't need to see it. For years I had helped build the life that allowed Daniel to stand proudly in that ballroom. Tonight I simply stepped away from it. And for the first time in a long while, the future belonged entirely to me.